Hey everyone! We are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content and it is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button right now as we proceed. Spring training just officially kicked off for the Toronto Blue Jays, and folks, there's one name that's absolutely dominating every single conversation coming out of Dunedin right now. Forget Dylan Cease for a minute. Put aside the Jesus Sanchez debate. Stop worrying about the bullpen depth. Because right now, all eyes are locked on Ohtani Okamoto, and what he's doing in the batting cage is making everyone from coaches to reporters to fellow players stop what they're doing and just watch. We're talking about a guy who's launching absolute bombs into the seats during batting practice, displaying a swing that has veteran hitting coaches grinning like kids on Christmas morning, and projecting to potentially be one of the biggest steals of the entire Blue Jays offseason. If you haven't been paying attention to what Okamoto brings to this lineup, you're about to find out why the hype is real and why this signing could end up being way more impactful than anyone initially thought. The first official workout for the Toronto Blue Jays happened on Monday, and spring training games are starting this Saturday, which means baseball is finally back after what felt like the longest offseason in history. But while everyone expected the usual spring training storylines about pitchers and catchers reporting, veteran guys getting their work in, and young prospects trying to make impressions, something unexpected happened. Ohtani Okamoto became the talk of camp within the first 24 hours, and it's not because of some manufactured hype or media narrative. It's because when this guy steps into the batting cage, he does things that make people's jaws drop. Multiple reporters and observers have commented on Okamoto's swing, and the consensus is pretty clear. There's a flow to it, a timing and rhythm that looks effortless but generates absolutely ridiculous power. We're not talking about guys hitting routine fly balls or line drives during batting practice. We're talking about Okamoto launching baseballs into the seats with such regularity that everyone in the facility has been gravitating toward the cage just to watch him hit. Hazel May, one of the most respected Blue Jays reporters, has been among those watching closely, and the buzz around Okamoto's early work is legitimate. So what exactly did the Blue Jays get when they signed Ohtani Okamoto? Let's break down his scouting grades because they tell a really interesting story about his skill set. According to the standard 20 to 80 scouting scale, Okamoto has a 50-grade hit tool, which translates to average major league hitting ability. That's solid, especially for a player transitioning from Japanese baseball to MLB. But here's where it gets really interesting. He has a 50-grade power tool as well, which puts him right on the edge of above average to plus power. That's legitimate thump in the middle of a lineup. Now, he's not going to win any foot races with a 30-grade speed tool, which is below average even by first baseman and corner infielder standards. And his fielding grades out at 40, which is slightly below average but perfectly acceptable for someone who's going to play primarily at the hot corner or DH. These aren't elite athletic tools across the board, but that power grade is what matters most, and early returns suggest it might actually be underselling what he's capable of producing. The projections for Okamoto's first season in Major League Baseball are genuinely exciting if you dig into the details. Steamer and Zips, two of the most respected projection systems in baseball, both have him hitting 22 to 23 home runs over a full season. They're projecting him to produce somewhere between 2.3 and 3 wins above replacement, which would make him one of the more valuable players on the entire roster. And here's the kicker, they're estimating he'll drive in 70 to 80 RBIs while batting somewhere in the middle to lower part of the lineup. Think about what that means for this Blue Jays offense. If Okamoto hits 23 home runs and drives in 75 runs while providing solid defense at third base, that's borderline all-star production from a guy the Blue Jays signed without giving up any prospects or draft picks. That's the kind of under-the-radar addition that championship teams make, finding value in international markets and giving players from other leagues opportunities to prove themselves at the highest level. But here's why those projections might actually be conservative. The projection systems are estimating Okamoto gets around 100 games played, which accounts for the adjustment period and potential platoon situations. But with Anthony Santander out for 5 to 6 months, the Blue Jays are going to need Okamoto in the lineup way more than 100 games. Some projections have him closer to 136 games, and if he's playing that much and producing at the rate these systems expect, you're looking at potentially elite offensive numbers from a guy who wasn't even on most people's radar during the offseason. One projection has Okamoto batting around 270, which would be fantastic for a power hitter, with 18 home runs and 60 RBIs. But that's based on limited playing time. Extrapolate those numbers over 130-plus games, and suddenly you're looking at a 25 to 30 home run guy who could drive in close to 100 runs. That would make him one of the better home run hitters on the entire Blue Jays roster, and it would provide exactly the kind of right-handed power bat this lineup desperately needs to balance out all the lefties. The big question, of course, is whether Okamoto's elite bat speed can translate into consistent hard contact at the major league level. Bat speed is one thing, and by all accounts Okamoto has absolutely ridiculous bat speed that ranks among the best on the team. But turning that bat speed into productive at-bats requires pitch recognition, plate discipline, and the ability to handle elite velocity and breaking stuff from the best pitchers in the world. That's where Dave Hopkins, the Blue Jays hitting coach, comes into play. Hopkins has developed a reputation as something of a hitting whisperer, helping players unlock their potential and maximize their natural tools. Whether he's just the George Springer whisperer or whether his methods work across the board with different types of hitters remains to be seen. But if anyone can help Okamoto make the necessary adjustments to succeed in MLB, it's Hopkins and the Blue Jays player development staff. They've got an entire spring training full of instructors, including newly added coaches, who can work with Okamoto on approach, pitch recognition, and all the little details that separate good hitters from great ones. The tools are absolutely there for Okamoto to be a legitimately good player. He's still only 28 years old, which means he's entering his prime years as a hitter. He's had success in Japan's top professional league, so he knows what it takes to compete at a high level. The bat speed is elite and generates natural power that you can't teach. If he can just stay in the zone a little longer, make harder contact more consistently, and handle the adjustment to MLB pitching, there's genuine star potential here. The realistic expectation based on projections is that Okamoto will hit somewhere around 240 to 250 with solid power numbers. Almost every projection system has him in that batting average range, which is perfectly acceptable for a guy who's going to provide value through home runs and RBIs. He doesn't need to hit 300 to be productive. He just needs to get on base enough, drive the ball when he makes contact, and play adequate defense at third base or wherever the Blue Jays need him. In other Blue Jays news, Kevin Biggio has found a new home with the Houston Astros, joining Joey Loperfido, who the Blue Jays just traded away. Biggio has been trying to resurrect his career for years now, bouncing from the Blue Jays to the Dodgers to the Royals and now Houston. The guy has always been a solid defensive player, but he's never been able to put it all together offensively and reach the potential everyone thought he had. The Astros are hoping they can catch lightning in a bottle and help him finally figure things out. It's one of those situations where you genuinely root for the player because by all accounts he's a great kid with a good personality, but the results just haven't been there consistently enough. The Jesus Sanchez conversation continues to dominate Blue Jays discourse as well. Multiple analysts have written about the what-if scenario where Sanchez beats his projections and becomes a significantly more productive player than expected. The ZiPS projection system has him playing 136 games, which seems realistic given the Santander injury and the Blue Jays' need for outfield depth. If he gets that many games, he's projected to produce 1.7 wins above replacement, hit 18 home runs, and drive in 60 RBIs while batting around 240. Now, 18 home runs might not sound like superstar production, but it would actually make Sanchez one of the better power hitters on the team if he reaches that mark. And those projections might be conservative if Dave Hopkins can unlock something with that elite bat speed Sanchez possesses. If the bat stays in the zone just a little bit longer, if he makes harder contact more consistently, if he can improve his pitch selection and hunt pitches he can drive, there's legitimate 30 home run upside here. That's the potential everyone sees in Sanchez, and that's why the Blue Jays were willing to trade Joey Loperfido to acquire him. The consensus across projection systems is that Sanchez will hit around 240 to 250, which matches Okamoto's expected batting average almost exactly. Both guys are going to provide value through power and run production rather than getting on base at elite rates. And honestly, that's perfectly fine for what the Blue Jays need from these two positions. If Okamoto is hitting 25 home runs from the hot corner and Sanchez is mashing 20 to 25 bombs from left field, this offense has legitimate depth and balance that can compete with anyone in the American League East. Spring training games start this Saturday, which means we're about to get our first real looks at how these guys perform against live pitching in game situations. Batting practice bombs are fun and generate excitement, but the real test comes when you're facing a 95-mile-per-hour fastball followed by a nasty breaking ball in a competitive at-bat. That's when we'll really find out if Okamoto's swing translates and if Sanchez can make the adjustments necessary to reach his ceiling. The energy around this Blue Jays team is palpable right now. You've got new faces like Okamoto generating buzz with their early work. You've got established stars like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. ready for another season. You've got a pitching staff that Kevin Gausman thinks can lead MLB in strikeouts. All the pieces are falling into place for what could be a genuinely special season if everything breaks right. So here's what I need from you right now. Smash that like button if you're fired up about what Ohtani Okamoto is going to bring to this lineup. Drop a comment below telling me how many home runs you think he hits in his first MLB season. Are we looking at 20? 25? 30? And make sure you hit that subscribe button because spring training coverage is ramping up, games are starting this weekend, and you're not going to want to miss a single development as this roster takes shape and prepares for opening day. Baseball is back, folks. Let's go Blue Jays.